Chase, before you sold nearly 2 million albums and you got over 1.6 billion streams, which 1.6 billion is an incredible number. Man, you were a Tar Heel. You played linebacker at North Carolina. What's your favorite memory when you think back on your years playing college ball?
It's probably gonna sound cliche, but definitely just being around the guys in the locker room, the memories we made running out of the tunnel together. We beat Miami freshman year, rushing the field. That was awesome. They were number 4 in the country, I believe. So just the relationships that I have with those guys, and still have with a lot of them. I think that's the coolest part about college football is there's a bond that you don't get in many other places. So I made friends for life with a lot of those guys. So it's college football to me is one of the purest, best sports in the world.
You mentioned some of the guys and you have relationships with them. A bunch of them went on, had some NFL careers. Hakeem Nicks won a Super Bowl with the Giants. He played a big role on that Giant team. Robert Quinn was a freshman, I believe your senior season. He's on the Bears. So how many guys do you stay in touch with? Do you follow their careers? What is the relationship like now?
Yeah, quite a few. Hakeem Nicks, I saw him last time. I think it was the Colts Pats back when he played for the Colts. Went to the locker room, saw him after the game. Robert Quinn came to Tortuga Music Fest a couple of years ago, and he was just hanging out. I think that was back when he played for the Dolphins. So I keep in touch with a lot of them. Very few of them regularly, but if I'm in their town and I happen to see them, we got a group thread going on with a lot of Carolina football guys. We're having a good year this year. I think Carolina football's, getting back. We can get to that, but I keep in touch with a lot of them because I travel so much that I remember I told all the guys, I said, one day I'm gonna be playing in your stadium, playing in the NFL. I'm gonna be playing in your stadium. And my first stadium tour was with Kenny Chesney in 2015. So that dream, I never got to play in the NFL, but the dream of playing in NFL stadiums has come true.
I want to take you back to November 11, 2006, Georgia Tech. You guys lose 7-0, but do you remember what was significant about that game for you personally?
Did I have a sack and a pick?
Yes, you did. Yeah, you did.
My first sack, my first pick. My football career, I remember I picked off, I think it was Calvin Johnson. It was a receiver. Reggie Ball was a quarterback. First sack, same game. And then my career it never happened the way it should have. And that's just unfortunate. And that's honestly, it's out of my control. I look back at my career, my back half of my sophomore year, I was becoming a really good player. My junior year, I was a really good player and a good leader and everything you want in a college football player. But except the second quarter of the first game, I got hurt. So I look back on it, it does make me sad about how my career went down, but it was out of my control. You can't control getting hurt, and all you can control is what you do moving forward. And what I did moving forward was learn how to play guitar. So that led me to the career that I'm in now, and I can be proud of that,
You did have a pro day, right? You had a pro day. You showed out. You showed up and had a great day. Does that give you kind of, I don't know, closure? Like knowing that I did all I could?
For sure, because the only thing I didn't have was film, because during the prime of my football playing days, I was hurt. And I look back on people ask all the time, they're like, wait, did you actually have a legitimate chance of playing the NFL? And I'm like, absolutely. That's not even a question. My junior year was supposed to be my breakout year, and I basically ended my career. I tried to come back my senior year, and mentally I wasn't there. My dad had just died. And physically I was definitely not the same player. And that's the way it went down. If I could go back, I would have tried to be a better leader off the field, but I was young. I was being selfish, trying to take care of myself, trying to make myself get into the NFL when what I really needed to do was focus on the team. And that's just a lesson learned being young. But I did have a pro day. Yeah. Like you said, I came back, I ran a good 40. Me and Hakeem Nicks had an unbelievable day. I think I had a better day than him. I had the best pro day buddy on our team. And the Bears and the Giants were both interested. The Steelers and the Giants, sorry. And I will say I had a horrible agent. But the pro day that I had, I should have gotten a call and at least gotten into camp. And I never did, but I did everything I could do. I mean, I literally had a better pro day than Hakeem Nicks. You can't ask me anything better than that.
Man, I think it worked out better for you anyway with what you're doing. But you mentioned UNC getting back, right? We think in North Carolina, obviously everybody's thinking of hoops. Tell me about the football program and how you think they're going to get back to some prominence.
Yeah, I think Mac Brown is the key to all that. I played under John Bunting and Butch Davis. I love both of them in very different ways. But with John, with Coach Bunting, we didn't win. So you got to win football games. Butch Davis, he won. And I think the university, I don't know all the details, but he should not have been fired. He was, and now we're here at Mac Brown all these years later. So I think it's a full circle that needed to happen. Mac's an amazing guy. He's an amazing coach, and he's a perfect fit for Carolina football. He's already gotten us back. Second year, I think we were ranked 5th when we lost to Florida State last week. I think that's too generous. I think we're a top 10, top 15 team right now. I don't think we're a top 5 team. And obviously Florida State showed that.
I won't tell our voters, Chase.
Hey, well, you got them right where they belong right now. I think they're 13 or 14, 13. But that's okay. I mean, we're a program. The biggest thing about Carolina football is it's a program that needs to learn where they fit in, and where Carolina football belongs is top 5 every year. Mm-hmm. I don't think the culture and the mindset is there yet, but I think it's getting there 100%. I mean, look at us. We're, 3-1 right now with a loss to Florida State. Florida State, say what you want to say about them, they're still Florida State at the end of the day. They still have athletes. They have freak athletes all over that team. So it didn't shock me at all that we lost to them. But what we got to do is get that mindset of knowing we belong here. We belong in the top 5 every year. We belong in the playoff picture. And that's, if it's not there yet, and I can't speak to it fully because I'm not in that locker room. But it doesn't seem to be there yet, because what we need to do is go into Florida State and Tallahassee and understand we are Carolina and we are a top 5 team. We belong in the playoff and we're going to earn it. And we didn't do that last week. So we earned that top 13 spot right now. So we got to continue to push forward and hopefully win out the rest of the year.
You went from college football, man, to being part of a NASCAR pit crew. What was that experience like for you? And at what point did you realize, like, this is great. This isn't for me. I want to sing.
Pretty much right away. I'd written a record out of college. It was no good, but it was the best I could do at the time. I was just learning how to be a songwriter. And I was going home from the work to the hotel I was living in every single day and writing songs. So I knew I wasn't happy right away. I'd, got in a fight, got in trouble with one of our teammates. So I took the 2 weeks and I went to Nashville to visit Brian for the first time. Brian's the full Florida part of Florida Georgia Line. And that was before they were Florida Georgia Line. We'd just been buddies from the time we were little kids. Grew up playing Little League soccer together, Little League baseball. And so I went to visit him, and that was when I really fell in love with Nashville. So I already didn't like what I was doing, and I already had a love for writing songs. And then all of a sudden I fell in love with Nashville, and it was game over from that point on. I knew at some point I would have to go to Nashville and really give it a shot if I really ever wanted to do it for real.
And then you end up helping Brian out in Florida Georgia Line, writing crew. What was, could you have ever envisioned a song that you put together that you're part of being such a big time hit like that?
Yeah. And I think that's the key, is I'm a part of it. I'm just a small part of it as a songwriter. Brian was in the room. He was a writer on it. And it was just that song. I mean, you can't try to do something like that, to be honest. It's just got to happen. And it did that day. We wrote the song, rewrote the song. Joey Moy got a hold of it, production, Tyler's voice on it. And it was all the stars aligning. It wasn't the fact that we were that good. The stars just happened to align that day. And then through the process of that song. So yeah, that was crazy. But like I said, something that successful is not something you can try to do. All you can do is try to write the best songs you can and eventually stumble across something great. And that's the coolest part about art.
So between college football, NASCAR pit crew, then you end up going to Nashville. I got to tell you, my wife and I had some experience in reality TV, first season of Marriage Boot Camp. A lot of people didn't realize it, and then we started telling them. Now it's 8 years removed. I can tell everybody. There's not much reality in reality TV. We played roles, we played characters, had a chance to end up doing our own show, but real life got involved. We had twin girls, and we decided to move on. I would think though Survivor is probably a little bit more realistic than the drama and the nonsense we did. I don't know. Is it more realistic?
Yeah, I mean, the things you do are very real.
Okay.
You're out there, you're starving, you're getting rained on, you're dirty, you are starving. That's the main one. It's brutal. I lost 38 pounds. So all that stuff is very real.
Wow.
Very good about getting drama out of the characters for sure. And everybody plays their role. I was the country guy. But at the end of the day, that's one thing I do have respect for with Survivors. You go through some tough stuff. But yeah, at the end of the day, also the producers are very good about getting the drama that they need. And I had no experience going into that. The leading questions are the part that drive me the most crazy. I love speaking my mind. I love saying what I truly believe. And if I could go back and do it again, it would be a very, very different experience. If you ask me a question, I'm going to probably call you out and be like, don't ask me a leading question like that. Get that shit out of here. That's literally not going to happen anymore in my life. But it was a cool thing to do, man. It was a once in a lifetime experience. They've asked me back a couple times a while ago. They haven't asked me back recently. And I was like, nah, I'm done with reality TV. And then the Bachelor experience obviously happened.
Yeah.
I don't have time for that type of bullshit,
right.
To be honest with you. So my time with reality TV is officially over.
I think we were in the same boat over there, man. I want to ask you about one of your earlier songs, Jack Daniels and Jesus, because in 2010, I was going through something. I was single for the first time in a long time. I went out and partied 36 straight days. Like, I remember this because I'm a baseball guy, and Joe DiMaggio had a 56-game hitting streak. I'm like, I'm going to break it, but I can't do it hitting. I'm going to break it by partying 36 days in a row. And then eventually I surrendered to Christ, and that's how my life just turned around. Was that a personal song for you? Were you going through when you wrote, that song and performed that song? Was that something that really hit home for you?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't realize when I wrote it how bad of a place I was in, for sure. Usually you don't. And I grew up hearing about God. I grew up hearing about Jesus. I didn't really know what any of it really meant, though, to have a relationship with Jesus. And I look at it now, and I very much do. I have one every single day. I talk to God. I'll try to every single morning. I talk to God throughout the day. And I have that relationship, and that does not mean I'm perfect. I'm far from it. And that's what I love about Jesus is he hung out with the worst of them. The disciples were literally the worst of the people around back then. And that's the type of people that Jesus loved to be around. And that's the type of guy that I am. I mean, the things that I've done in my life, a lot of them are inexcusable and unforgivable. But Jesus is right there every time you turn around and say, I'm sorry. So that was a very, very dark part of my life that led to the last 5 years of me getting help that I needed to get, mentally, but spiritually was when it really, really turned around for me in 2017. Because I was lost. That song says lost somewhere between Jack Daniels and Jesus. I was lost. And now I'm not lost. I'm just dumb sometimes, but at least I'm not.
Well, I love how you say, I mean, none of us are perfect. And I think sometimes that's the expectation. Oh, you're a believer, you're a Christian, you're supposed to be perfect. No, we're not perfect, man. We're the only one was perfect, right? He was the only one who walked the earth perfect. So
exactly. The big thing these days is just surrounding myself with people that can help me along with my journey, help me along with my life. And then getting out there and hanging out with others that I know may need the help that I've always needed. So, and I don't try to push it on people. If people want to talk about it, though, I'm all ears.
That's part of, sharing that testimony, man. Our mess becomes our message. Our test becomes our testimony. I love that. Another song, I really love this. I played it. So my wife is usually listening to worship songs, right? Worship music. So she wasn't familiar with Eyes on You, right? And I'm telling you, this morning I come downstairs and I go, babe, I want to play this for you because I feel that way. Like we go wherever we go, we're looking out at the beach, and I'm like, man, I'm always staring at my wife. I'm always, it's such a. So I want to share that with you. It made her cry. It made her cry this morning. This morning, sitting down at breakfast, she's crying, listening to that song. So what went into that one for you?
I was dating a girl at the time. I don't know when I wrote that, 2017 maybe. And I had in my notes, Ashley Gorley was playing the piano that morning, that same part, the dun 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 dun, dun, that part. And I was looking through my notes. I was like, what sounds like that? And I saw Eyes on You. And then I remember writing the note. It was just like, travel the world, but you miss it all because your eyes are on her. And that's a love that I don't think I've found yet. I'm not sure I'll ever find that particular type of love, because I think that particular type of love is just, it's almost like it's earned every day. You have to, sometimes you even have to work at it. You can be pissed at somebody, but no, you still love them. So that for me is something I'm still working on, but that's very much a love that I think that I don't know about everybody else, but I've stopped trying to guess everybody else's lives. But I know for me, that's the type of love that I want down the road. I want that. I'm not really there yet right now in my life, and that's okay. But that's definitely the type of love. I'm jealous of you and your wife. That's the type you want, the one that you look at all the time, and that's what that song's about. And hopefully, I'll live it, fully one day.
Well, man, I didn't meet her till I was 36. She was 26. So you still got time, man. You still.
Hey, I'm 35. Telling my mom, she's on me a little bit, and I'm like, Mom, I want to get married in my 30s. I'll get married in my 30s, and I got 5 years left, so I'll figure it out.
Nah, you got this. You talked about it, playing on football fields, playing in stadiums, and before COVID hit, you guys, you opened for Garth Brooks, 70,000 plus fans at Detroit Ford Field. When you mentioned a little bit earlier about, being that kind of environment, when you're out there, right? When you're out there, do you ever think of football anymore, or like you're in a zone? This is what I'm doing now. This is what honestly, man, this is what you're called to do. This is your purpose.
Yeah, no, I don't think about the game. I think about missing the guys for sure. Like I said, I love the game, but my body hurts so bad as is. I'm like, man, I'm kind of glad I didn't have to keep playing this game. And for back then it would have been get to keep playing this game. But now I'm like, all right, I'm kind of glad it ended when it did, especially with head injuries that I had. But I do think about it for sure. I'm like, a guy brought it up to me and I was like, man, I never got to play in the NFL. And that was in 2017. He said, wait a minute, you just told me you played with Kenny Chesney in 2015. Where'd y'all play? And I was like, I told him. He was like, that sounds like an NFL stadium to me. Mm-hmm. Like, he said, sounds like you played in the NFL to me. And I was just like, I started laughing. But that made me realize that my dream definitely has come true. It just looked a little different than I thought it would. And it's a lot healthier of a career, and it can last a whole lot longer. So I'm very blessed. I don't deserve a lot of the stuff that's happened in my life. I know that. But at the end of the day, like I said, I get on my front porch and I talk to God and I hang out with him. And I think that he's put me on this earth to spread his message my way. And I just try to sit here and, listen to it every day is different the way he wants me to talk about him. And like I said, this right here, it's like, this is another opportunity to talk about him and talk about how much I don't deserve him, but he's always there for me. He's blessed me, and I'll continue to write songs and continue to hopefully write better songs throughout my life that, will touch somebody.
It's been tough, man, these last, whatever, I don't even know how many months we're going on with COVID. How badly are you itching to get back out there in front of the crowds, to perform, to sing, to do what you do?
Yeah, I think the hardest part is that's where you gain your, I don't know. That's where you look at your life and you're like, oh man, I'm doing something when you're on stage. And so that can also be an unhealthy thing, because if you don't have it, you can start freaking out. And luckily for me, if this had happened 3 or 4 years ago, I'd be screwed. I don't know what I'd do with my life. Luckily through this year, I've taken the positives. I've written songs. I've hung out with friends that I'd never even had before. So a lot of positive has come out of this. And that's really what I try to focus on, because I think next year will be hold on tight. And the shaming part, the shame of it all is how much shame people are giving to people who are going out and doing something that they love. I got bashed for it earlier this year. And that's the sad part. I try not to focus on the negatives. I try to go out there and do my job. And I do my job a lot of times because I love doing my job. It's not even close to about money. You can look at, the amount of money that I've made over my career, and I'm like, damn, I thought it'd be more than that. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't change a thing because I love doing what I do. I love getting out there, and I'm ready for that feeling of people loving music and screaming songs again. And when that happens, I'll be ready to go.
Man, that's got to be like an incredible adrenaline rush, you know, when you're up there. It might be greater than anything you could do on a football field. Tell me a little bit about your latest top 10 single, "Lonely If You Are." It's on the album Part 1, which is out now. How long did that take to come together, and what inspired that one?
Yeah, it's honestly, it was the first time I'd ever written with Hunter Phelps and Lindsey Rhymes both together. First time I'd ever written with Hunter. And he says the title, he's like, "Man, I got a song I kind of been wanting to write called Lonely When You Are." And I was like, kind of sounds to me like it should be Lonely If You Are, because that's kind of where I am a lot of times. Two lonely people. It's like, no, I'm good, but hey, you want to hit me up? Let's go. That's where I was at in my life, certainly when I wrote that song. And it's not even a booty call. It's literally just someone you might want in your life. A lot of real relationships start that way. It's like, hey, I'm lonely. Hit me up. I'll be right there. And you start hanging out and you start realizing, wow, I actually like this person. So that's what that song's really all about. And it's got a really cool guitar part. And it's we're done with that song now. Thank God. It's been over 60 weeks at radio. But it's my 4th top 10, I believe. So we had Gonna Want It Tonight, Ready, Set, Roll, Eyes on You, and then Lonely If You Are. So that's my 4th top 10, following a number 1. And now we got another big song coming in December. And that's going to be my first ever collab that I've ever put out to radio. So I expect that to be a very big song, and that'll be a huge start to the, getting into 2021.
Well, Chase, man, I'm looking forward to that one for sure. Now I got you on my playlist. My wife's got you on the playlist. So we're mixing in a little elevation worship, a little Hillsong, a little Chase Rice. Can't go wrong there. I appreciate this conversation, man. I wish you a ton of blessings.
Dude, I appreciate it. Yeah, the next song is actually called Drinking Beer, Talking God, Amen. And that's what this year's been all about for me. Literally, it's been a year to sit back and reflect. It's been a year to sit back and actually just be still. And I've had so many conversations, whether they're sober or drunk, the truth kind of spills when you drink a little bit. And there's been so many blessings that have come out of the downtime that I've had this year, whether it's sitting over there in my fire pit, sitting out here at the other fire pit I've got. I love fire pits because you can sit around with your buddies, you can sit around with the girls and just talk. And there's no TVs on. You're just sitting there talking about real life. I've had more real life conversations this year probably than I have in my entire life. So I'm glad for that. I'm blessed for that. And I think this next song is going to be pretty big.
Looking forward to it, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man. Good talking to you.
Thanks, Chase.
Later.